In a world drowning in noise, where truth is often buried beneath layers of propaganda and misinformation, there's a need for a different kind of a network of creators that cuts through the clutter, that doesn't shy away from tough topics, and that delivers the unfiltered truth. We are Trim Radio Network. We are creators, we are innovators, we are investigators. We're the ones who aren't afraid to call a spade a spade. If you're ready to participate in thought-provoking discussions, informational topics, and of course today's biggest headlines, subscribe to our YouTube channel today. We're Trim Radio Network. We're cutting the bull and serving the truth.
Welcome to Revelation, where prophecy meets science. Join host Peter Kling, the Einstein of Biblical Prophecy, as he uncovers ancient truths with modern insight. Prepare to see the world in a whole new light. And now your host, Peter Kling.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining me. You are absolutely the most intelligent people on the planet. Truly intelligent, because you found this channel and you tuned in. The information you find here, you will not find on any other channel. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Please join the network, share this show with as many friends you can. Post it on Facebook. You got my total permission and my blessing on that, because people have to wake up. We're facing some very interesting times, as we all know. And we have been fed so much propaganda from all sides. As a matter of fact, the deeper you dig, the narrative has been played out for well over 100 years. And there's always been propaganda all through history. The king didn't like what something. Egypt was famous for this. They only recorded their victories, not their failures. Go find a record in Egypt of the Exodus or Moses. You won't find it. You won't find it yet. There's evidence that it happened, because the evidence, the physical evidence, resembles the biblical record. And so when we look at what is recorded within the Bible, the things that Jesus said, the things that were recorded by the apostles, and especially Revelation, and why especially Revelation, is because this is the culmination point. This is the culmination point. And here we are. And tonight's subject, at least the first thing that I wanted to get into, we'll get into more things as the show goes on. But tonight's subject, be prepared. Be prepared. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is it's something that, boy, it was all the rage to be a prepper and to have a to-go bag and get ready to bounce. And how many people actually have that? How many people have taken that seriously here, all things considered? I mean, we've lived, think about this, especially the older folks. When I say older, somebody who's got a cognitive memory. Hey, if you're Generation X or older, you have experienced life through several other generations, and you can remember how things were when you were a kid. I can, unless you ran into some sort of trauma somewhere. But you can remember how life was like, what it was like when you were a child. And you can see how it has progressed to today, where life is chaotic. Life is truly chaotic. You know, when I was younger, if I wanted chaos in my life, I could add it myself. You know, My formative years were in the mountains of North Carolina, and it's a different way of life in the mountains. We'll get back to that a little bit later. But it's be prepared. But it's not just in a physical way. We'll talk about that later on in the show. It's also being prepared mentally. It's like taking a knife and sharpening it and put it in a sheath, and you know you have a sharp knife when you need to take it out. And so if we are cognizant of things, if we are sharp to certain things that are being done on the world stage, if we can have discernment within the propaganda. And part of the issue is that it's part of it is this very platform that I'm on, social media, whether it be YouTube or other media, Rumble, if you're over on Rumble. For some reason, YouTube always seems to carry the show better than Rumble. Every once in a while, a show jumps out on Rumble. So if you don't see us on Rumble, come over to YouTube. Same time, different place. But if we are acute, if we have a sharp edge to discern what is right, what is wrong, what is true, what is false. You can go back to the classic Solomon story where two women were arguing that the child was each one claimed that it was theirs, and Solomon said, "Cut it in half, give half to each," and the true mother said, "No, give it to this woman, let her have it." The other woman said, "Cut it in half." Which was the true mother? She'd rather give up her child and keep it alive. And so we can apply that today. That was going to be a sharp sword, cleave that poor child in half. And Solomon discerned the truth. And we kind of have to do the same thing with the propaganda that we're being fed. Is slice it in half and look at it. Because it's propaganda from both sides. I don't care which way you look at it, which way you slice it. You've got the propaganda, which we kind of see on the nightly news, or what trickles down from a state level, the news within your local area, which might be a little bit more pertinent. But all the news networks, it's all slanted in a particular way, and that's because of the people who own those networks. So discernment. And now we're learning more about the media that's out there by listening to the non-network news on podcasts and such as this. You're not going to find this on national TV. It's interesting. Some of it you actually might, just because of the influence that I had in the past. But it's here. And so not only do we need to be prepared physically, we need to be prepared mentally. So when we see something happen, it's going to trigger a response. Hey, it's time to go. We don't have any other choice. We got to go. And you may have been in that situation in the past, and thank God you're still here to talk about it, to think about it anyway. But there's always that you get to a certain point. If you're not on board the ship at a certain time, it's going to leave without you. I promise. And that's just the way it is. The world runs on a clock, and everybody has their own agenda. And except for one group of people who no man could number, who have aligned their agenda with the truth, with what is recorded and what they can see. And and I've said this before. Hey, I have to credit my knowledge right back to the Father, right back to Yahuwah itself. I pray a lot. I connect with other dimensions mentally a lot because our thoughts have no time. Our thoughts are instantaneous across the dimensions of which exist, not just the three-dimensional world in which we live. Actually, we live in a 10-dimensional world plus the dimension of time, which is variable across all dimensions. But we also need to live in the here and now and comprehend what time period we are living in, because there's a lot of evidence that we are living in what the Bible calls the last days of this system of evil, this wickedness. And the reality of that wickedness is it does want to kill us. It does not want us to succeed. It does not want us to prosper. And it certainly doesn't want us to procreate and become many and fill the earth. Because that would bring the satanic system of evil to an end. And yet that's what we're dealing with. And so we have to be prepared. I was on a Zoom meeting a few nights ago. That's really what brought this into view. Because the Zoom meeting was with nobody, people that nobody would know. Except the connections. And yet, this is a worldwide network which keeps their eye on things that are happening and then tries to address things in the most Christ-like manner, following in the footsteps of Jesus. I wish them well. I wish them success. I wish anybody who is on that path massive success. And yet I am not any sort of member. I am totally independent, except for the dependence on the spiritual energy and intelligence that runs this multiverse, which brings us right back to our creator, Yahuwah. It's within our breath. The life form, the force, our Father, the creative energy of this whole entire multiverse, which we have a personal connection to. The other only personal connection back to that entity is Jesus himself, Yeshua. Think about that. It's the only two recorded within the scripture. Think about that. We are the children of the Creator. We're not the children of some reptilian serpent that slithered its way through the Garden of Eden. And Satan never had sex with Eve. Go read Genesis chapter 4. But it's brought us to where we are. That happened a little over 6,000 years ago. And now we're coming up on the 2,000th year anniversary of when Jesus started his ministry on this planet. And while I would, and remember, many will come on account of his name. Hey, as close as I get is John the Baptist. That's you know, our king for the kingdom coming. That entity, that extraterrestrial entity who was once terrestrial. Well, mind-boggling there. We're at this time of change, and the 2000th year anniversary of Jesus' ministry starts in 2029. Surprised how many people I listen to, and I'm the only one who's bringing this to everyone's attention. His death was 2033. There's a time frame for you. There's a time frame for you, but we've already entered that lead up to this time frame. Anyway, the one thing that I was surprised about with this group meeting is that they dedicated 20 minutes and they interviewed people from North Carolina and from the Congo. And it was a family in the Congo gave their experience. They were already living in a refugee camp. And it wasn't a bad camp. They showed a photograph of where they were actually staying. But they were told by the people that were taking care of them that we can't protect you anymore. The military is coming and you've got to go. And so they got their to-go bags, they got their papers, they made sure their phones were charged, and they left. They left right then and there. Now, just so you know, over 2 million people have lost their lives in the Congo over the last several years, most of them Christians. Most of them Christians. And who's responsible for their deaths? Factions backed by a country that we call Iran. Go do your homework. Go do your homework. Do the research. And most people are unaware of it. And we can't get into it in this show because there's connections that go all the way back. They go all the way back to the 70s. Go watch the movie 3 Days of the Condor. Robert Redford. 3 Days of the Condor. And that's kind of its inception. But it's also moves to get us into the position of World War III. And I was hoping that we were going to get beyond this point, or that they weren't going to pull it off. But what it seems like is it's just getting pushed out, and there's going to wind up being a squeeze play. If I can figure out that Jesus started his ministry in the fall of the 2000th year anniversary, 2 God days, which makes it quite interesting. A day of God is 1,000 years to man, and 1,000 years to man is but a day of God. Time's a variable across the dimensions. Anyway, when you look at that timing, it is critical. And Jesus said no one can tell you the day or hour, but could they tell you the year when it was most likely to come? When the hourglass finally runs out for the satanic system of evil? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Using Jesus' own words and using the dates on the Hebrew calendar. But until then, we are going to be facing trials and tribulations, an unsettled time, because we have entered a judgment period. And at the very least, we need to prepare. Look what happened to gas prices. Come on, I'm talking practicality now. Look what happened to gas prices. Boom, overnight. Wow, wasn't that interesting?
75 cents a gallon.
Oh, Riscola, the other, I heard about the oil, motor oil crisis, and I was like, let me go get it because allegedly the last tanker pulled up to the docks, and evidently one of the refineries, and I don't know why I can tell you why we don't do it here in the United States anymore, and that's all EPA. But evidently, was it the United Arab Emirates refines motor oil, and they're the world's leading supplier of motor oil. Ah, interesting.
I saw a report about aviation fuel. Airlines are literally shutting down. There's no aviation fuel.
Yeah, Spirit Airlines went Chapter 11. They said, we're done. They were trying to be an up and coming, and I understand there were some mismanagement things, but this is all coming down to us. Think about the world market at how it's been running, especially since we had the outbreak 6 years ago, and we were hit with the plague that never was, but the injection that was. We've lived a life sequestered, ordering what you need at home. You can place your Walmart order and they'll bring it out to the car for you. No person-to-person contact. And so it's always, you want it, you place an order for it, you get it. But anyway, I went in to go buy motor oil, and it doubled in price from a month ago. Well, 5 weeks now. It literally doubled in price. I was like, what? Huh? Okay. I guess it was sticker shock. But I still bought 2 gallons. 2 gallons. What happens if this goes on and it's not there to buy? Oh, that'll never happen. Yeah, remember toilet paper? Risco, how were the stores by you? Back when we were told to stay home and sequester, how were the stores by you as far as toilet paper?
What is the deal with toilet paper? Why is that one of the first things to go? There's a great toilet paper and water. Now, water I can somewhat understand, but toilet paper? Come on, man. Jeez.
Oh, and you hit a key point about being prepared. The other interview that I watched during this about 20-minute program was this couple down in North Carolina. It's when the hurricane came in, hit the mountains. That hurricane came across probably about 100 miles north, directly north as the crow flies, so they say, but basically in a straight line, northeast from where I lived. It was the Asheville area that got nailed. I used to go to Asheville, and that was the big city, So I'm quite familiar with that area, but this couple, they were stranded. The house they showed a picture of what their place looked like, and it looked like it was a nice little farm once upon a time. And they got their to-go bags and everything, and all, her husband's going through his to-go bag, and she said she saw something wrong on his face, and she said, "What's wrong?" And he said, "The flashlights don't work, and the batteries corroded the flashlights." They were stuck in the dark. So the point is, if you have a to-go bag, keep it current. And I'm pretty guilty of this, but I already left. I'm already gone. I've had a to-go bag at my disposal 15, 16 years. So, yeah, time to update it. You know where your important papers are? The interesting thing, which totally blew my mind, is when they mentioned important papers, they suggested everyone get a passport. Not did they just suggest, they strongly recommended everyone get a passport. Why? Any ideas, Riscola?
There was a song when I was growing up as a teenager that went, and I'm a lousy singer, but it went something like, "We gotta get out of this place if it's the last thing we ever do."
Oh, yeah. And a lot of people have done that with New York City. Boom. I forgot how many millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars they lost in tax revenue because the people with money left. Yeah, where'd they go? So New York is in a pitiful, New York City. The lights on Broadway are about ready to go out. I laugh, but it's sad because I've seen those lights so many times. Yeah, have you ever been to New York City at night?
No, the last time I was in New York City, I was 16 years old, and it totally overwhelmed me. I couldn't believe it. The only thing I remember was it seemed like there was concrete everywhere I turned. Big, huge, high-rise buildings, and we just went through it. It was a family vacation. We kind of passed through parts of New York to get to Niagara Falls. That's where we ended up.
Yep.
And so we went through part of New York to do that. But yeah, it was crazy. I live there.
I was literally born right on the opposite side of the Hudson River from New York City. I've lived in a lot of different places, but that's actually where I was born and lived in that area up till the time I was about 11. So I remember it when it was a real pit. My dad used to like to go fishing, and he'd go right down 42nd Street. And I was like, I can't believe you going down this road, Dad. It ain't nothing but whores and peep shows. And I was about 7 years old, 8 years old. You know, we're going fishing. But he went from the Lincoln Tunnel to the Midtown Tunnel, all the way, one straight shot, all the way down, right through the most seediest section of what was New York City at the time. And Giuliani changed all that, and that became the theater district. And when I had friends who, had never been to New York City, I said, "Yeah, come on, we'll go." If they were visiting, I said, "We'll go to the city some night." And usually, Saturday night was always nice. Very little commuter traffic, and the lights, literally the lights on Broadway, and it's just it's an amazing area to be in. I'm sure there's other cities that are like that all around the planet, but one thing I will say, that they beautified New York City, and it was safe. If I went down to New York City, it was usually on a Saturday, and I was usually there till close to midnight, and never worried about a thing. So, but I wouldn't go now. You got to be out of your mind. You got to be prepared to avoid places that are going to cause danger. So if you're in an area and you have to bug out for one reason or another, have a plan. If that's not an option, then be prepared the best that you can be at home. If the budget's tight, buy beans and rice. They last for a long, long time. It's a complete protein. The problem is that you're going to face is water. I had a friend that lived, he had an office on the 55th floor of the Empire State Building, a corner office facing what used to be the World Trade Center. But he lived on the east side. I think he was about the 34th floor up. And he told me nightmare stories about being there at that time. He moved out of the city actually after that. And that was when Hurricane Sandy came in and shut the city down. No power, no elevator, no toilets. Time to bug out. But what's worse is if that there's a military interdiction going on. And with what is most likely going to happen, from what they're saying, Tulsi Gabbard is supposed to be going out with a bang here and dropping all sorts of information on the theft of the 2020 election involving foreign countries and traitors here in this country. Muscola, what do you think that's going to do to this country once that comes out?
I don't think it's going to come out. I don't think they can afford to let it out.
No, it's going to come out. It's going to come out.
Well, then it will come out like the Epstein files came out, heavily redacted.
Well, John Brennan was arrested, and from what I understand, if what I've heard today is correct, and I have no reason to doubt it's not, but he copped a plea deal. Wait a minute, what? He was facing some pretty serious charges. And so what kind of deal did he make? Now, we don't have information on that. But what I had heard with Tulsi Gabbard is that she's going to release this information. Now, who's she going to release it to? The DOJ? The DOJ needs a house cleaning.
Wasn't she raided? Her office was raided.
Well, I think it was actually, yes. Both the FBI and the CIA came and they took back files that they had given her. So exactly, it may not have been a midnight raid, guns ablazing. I'm sure that they just say, we're here, we're taking back our files. You have she's out, and this information is going to be released. Now, what does that mean when the Director of National Intelligence doesn't have access to that information, whether she's leaving or not? And it may have had something to do with that. You got to wait for the new DNI to come in and make the request to get those files back. And so we'll have to see what happens there. But this is something else. Epstein wasn't treason; he was blackmail and worse, child trafficking. And everybody wants to know who the child traffickers are. But as far as the United States go, this is an act of war. And once this information is released, the public will be educated that we are at war. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll never. Maybe there's a certain percentage of them that'll never figure it out. But the main perpetrator is China. So, from what I understand, the message was taken to China that we have you. You committed an act of war against our country. Now, you pull your troops back, or we'll bomb you into the Stone Age, and ain't nothing you can do about it. You'll not get a missile off the ground. ETs are going to come in and get them.
I don't know about China right now, but I can tell you that I've seen several reports where Trump literally cursed out Netanyahu, called him effing crazy, I think, or something like that. And if it wasn't for me, you would be in jail or prison or something like that.
Isn't
And
that interesting?
then today, this report, it was one of those short videos, like a 20-second video. It reports that he live on live TV called Netanyahu a coward.
I had heard that secondhand, as I am now, but I hadn't heard that. I did hear it, but I didn't know much of the details except that Trump cursed him out. But this is also Netanyahu, Netanyahu number 3. Most people don't remember this, but the first Netanyahu was under house arrest. Geez, back during Trump's first term, and all of a sudden he comes back and he's the prime minister of the country again. It's like, how the hell did this happen? He was under house arrest. How's he prime minister now? And then allegedly, during one of the attacks that Iran made on Israel, they got his bunker and killed him and his cabinet. So here's number 3. Now, they just passed a bill in boy, here's a scenario for you, and you have to wonder about this. The U.S. Army is essentially going to partner with the Israeli Army and Mossad, from what I understand, what this bill basically says. And people are going nuts. What if the United... let me digress. Here's one of the entities that we're having a major fight with. If you're just taking down the financial system, the second leg of the Vatican, that's the City of London. Trump's got Washington, D.C. The king proved that. So the United States has its sovereignty from England. We're no longer a subject of the crown. That was done, very, you had to pay attention to what was going on. It's like Trump walking in front of it's like them hanging the Union Jack upside down, which signifies a country in distress. And they did that at one of the events. I think so. Why would they do that? Well, when the king was here in his presence. But the Union Jack, sometimes you can't tell. Oh, they got it wrong. No. They didn't get it wrong. They got it right. So we have this turmoil. But here's the interesting thing. Israel has been known since its inception as the house that Rothschild built. We've talked about this on several shows. What if Trump owns the house now? Think about it. What just happened? I mean, what did we just say? And Trump's turning around and, Israel owns the USA. Israel owns America. Israel owns Trump. And Trump just turned around and is like, okay, number 3, you're done. Who was really receiving that message? But regardless, we sit here and we laugh. It doesn't get us any further down the road. I see you just posted something. You're crazy. Trump fumes Netanyahu and call on Lebanon. Yeah. You see, what you have to do is change the regime, and Trump already made reference to that a while ago. 2-3 weeks ago, he said, if I ran for prime minister of Israel, I'd win by 99%.
God.
But what if he's sending messages about what's happening in Israel? But and then what are going to be the repercussions as all of this starts to roll out? And that there's the flip side of this, and that's the data centers that they're putting in. That they can basically track us if they can identify us. Hello, graphene oxide.
They are not data centers. They're
Fusion centers.
mass surveillance centers.
I was being nice, but thanks for the clarification. Yeah.
If they truly referred to them as what they really were, nobody would even want any of them built anywhere. But that's what they are. They're mass surveillance centers. Everything that we do now is recorded, and these are centers that are going to, whether a human listens to that recording or not is a different story. But now all of these recordings are going to go into these data centers where they're going to extract whatever data they need that they can sell. For example, your name, your phone number, your address, things of that nature, and then also add algorithms to it to see if you're talking about something they don't like. If you happen to mention something like the big C word and you have a cure for that big C word, oh boy, the algorithms will pick you up and you will probably be hearing from someone.
Yeah, that's what it could come to, and most likely will. We go to Revelation. Can't leave the show without hitting Revelation, the 13th chapter. It says that they will not be able to buy or sell without the mark of the beast. What's the beast? They're building the biggest data center on the planet. I think that's the beast. It's part of the beast system to keep us under control.
Peter, one of these centers was so large. I don't know if you and I talked about this or not, but it was so large that it was like 40 miles or some crazy number. Another
40,000 acres.
Is that what it is?
40,000 acres.
Wow.
I'm like, wait a minute. I'm trying to think about, blocks of land.
Yeah. 40,000. Wow.
And what are they going to, and they'll probably have robots running the things.
Well, let alone the damage it does to the environment.
Yeah, that's the flip side. And here we go, and another prophecy going to come about, and that is that God will bring to ruin those ruining the earth. It's basically taking a big chip, and instead of plugging it into the side of somebody's head, they're plugging it into the earth. Think about that one. What kind of vibrations is that going to send down through the mantle? Cook that stuff up down there. We need more energy. Oh. Yep. They better put heavy shields in there because we're going to have an inversion of our. Oh, and by the way, yeah, our poles are going to flip. I'm not saying anything about the Earth tilting further. I saw some.
They're already moving.
Yeah. Well, they're not just moving, but they're also in the process of collapse and reemergence.
I didn't hear about that, but I heard about them moving already.
Yep, the South Atlantic anomaly is one of those places, and so it's like a rupture in the magnetosphere, where now that you've got magnetic waves coming out of a different part of the planet than what it should. And so eventually that'll increase, and then you'll have the reversal. And it's during the reversal that allegedly those plates are going to come unlocked. Be prepared. Because when that happens, the coastal systems will be probably wiped clean. 80% of the world's population live along the coast along the coast, some ocean. Think of Bangladesh. How big of a tsunami would you have to wipe out Bangladesh? It's like 9 feet above sea level. Fiji's the lowest place on Earth. Bloop. Bye, Fiji. You know, move to higher ground. Move to higher ground. The St. John the Divine Temple in New York City shows it's the largest Freemason temple on the planet, and one of their columns shows a wall of water. There's two sections to this. One is actually crashing over the World Trade Center, which is no longer there, but the other one is crashing over the Brooklyn Bridge, which is there. So walls of water crashing over the World Trade Center. Waves.
That's a big wave.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a movie about that, Peter? They made a movie about something like that.
Yeah, it was Day After Tomorrow.
No, that's Day After Tomorrow is the Obama thing, right?
No, that was the movie where there were hurricanes forming in strange places, and it was causing literal tidal shifts and temperature drops. And one of the things they showed in that movie was a tanker coming through one of the streets in New York City. I believe that was the movie.
Remember what we've discussed many times. Their plans are given to us one way or another. Sometimes it's encrypted and you have to figure it out. Other times it's right in your face. Just like the Terminator series. Now, I just saw a short video yesterday of, they brought out, I think it was 6 or 8 of these small, I guess they're about 4.5 feet tall, maybe 5 feet tall, robots dancing with a human in the center, and the human was making the moves and the robots were copying his moves. Just remember what the Terminator, it had to start somewhere, right? And so when you see a movie like what we're just discussing about, a tanker going through New York City, they always tell us what they're going to do one way or another, whether it's in a movie, whether it's in music, whether it's on television, whether it's in a video. They always have to tell us. It's their law. They have to tell us what they're going to do before they do it. And our silence is their consent. So I'm just thinking of that. You're talking about, you saw this, where'd you see the waves coming over the towers?
St. John the Divine Temple in New York City.
Is it a picture or what?
Look online for it.
St. John's the Divine.
St. John the Divine columns.
Okay.
Columns. With what we're talking about, with what's going on actually in Israel, there was something else that I did a video. You can find it on YouTube. I did this in 2013 with Alfred Lambermont Weber. And I said in that video is that Prince William will most likely be the Antichrist. And I almost fell off the chair when I got virtual confirmation of that today. There's a plan that's ongoing to have the crown has always reserved the right to rule from Jerusalem. And it seems that they are going to exercise that right. And the only one that has the right to rule there is Prince William. Yeah. There's a video. Look on YouTube. Peter Kling, Prince William Antichrist. And I said it before Bonsai said it. So, yeah, about a year and a half later, she came out and said it. From what she saw, there's several high-ranking demonic forces that travel with him. I don't know, but that's what I had read. But anyway, yeah, that video's out there, and I go into did it with Alfred Lambermont Weber, but Peter Kling, Prince William, Antichrist. There's a lot of evidence for it. There's one of the columns
you're talking about, Peter.
That is absolute. That is absolutely one of the columns. Yes.
Looks like it's pretty beat up to me.
Yeah, that's a wave coming over the top of that's basically the Wall Street area of New York City, and it's being destroyed by a tsunami. Yeah, there's also one showing the Brooklyn Bridge, which is the East River, and pretty much the same thing, wave coming up over the East River. So
not showing up. That one shows up repeatedly, but the anything with a bridge, still looking.
While you're posting pictures, I want to go. We're kind of running out. There's one thing that I think, getting back to go bags, what you do about a passport, and I'm not going to get into the contents that you need to put into your to-go bags. Obviously, medicine, and if you need medicine or whatever, the most important things. But your papers that are at least going to be able to identify yourself with your birth certificate, insurance papers, things of that nature. But here's one thing that I suggest that everybody get is what is called a life straw. They're less than $20. You can get them online. I don't make any money selling these things. I bought one for every member of my family several years ago. Made sure everybody had a life straw. If you don't know what they are, do the research. That they're basically a high-tech filter which filters out 99.999% of all the pathogens that you can find in fresh water. It'll filter out debris and sediment. It will not filter out chemical contamination. But if you can find a little spring popping up somewhere, or if you're in New York City, you're dying of thirst. Hello, Central Park Lake. I don't know what else to tell you about that. It'll filter out any of the duck crap that's in there. So, at least you could have something to drink. Water's heavy. If you have a to-go bag, that ain't going to be easy to carry for a long, long time if you got to walk. And you might want to take a bicycle as opposed to, get a bicycle rack for your car. You go as far as you can go in your car. And, okay, well, we got a bicycle the rest. But you're going to have to get a drink. The average person uses about 5 gallons a day. Well, I don't drink that much water. Well, yeah. And by the way, you might need toilet paper. But but I see you put up another picture. It's a little small for me to see, but I believe that's the. Oh.
But it looks like people around some kind of a building, and it appears to be that they're moaning or they're sad. They're not happy. That's for doggone sure. Whatever's happening.
And doesn't that look like the center of St. Peter's Cathedral?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the basilica there.
Wow.
Yeah. Maybe the nation's capital. Who knows? One's modeled after the other. So, yeah, it's a creepy church. It really is. I've never been there, but I talked to somebody who was there, and they've never been so creeped out in their entire lives. They were like, you got to see this. No, you don't. It's creepy. It's there. They went on. There's a celebration that they do in October, and it's the Walk of Souls, I believe it's called.
Whoa.
And they've got the, look it up. You can go watch a video if you're that interested. But yeah, it's creepy, and that's one of the situations. The Freemasons are the third death cult. Albert Pike wrote that they needed to have 3 world wars in order to bring, in order to bring about their one world order solution. George H.W. Daddy Bush gave his speech of a new world order. What was he talking about? A new world order. So the point of tonight's show, we covered a lot of different ground, different areas. The point of tonight's show is be prepared. Yeah, prices are going to continue to go up. Have extra food at home. Have extra water at home. You have to kind of think outside the box. There's a lot of information out there on prepping and important things to put in your to-go bag. I saw this. I got my sign several years ago, and it was when the Pope, on the 4th Tetrad blood moon, and this is Pope Francis, who was made Pope on 3/13, who was responsible for the post 2015 development agenda. And how do you make a new world order? You mix all the races together, and then nobody knows who, may the best one win. I don't know what to tell you. But you bring down a country by infiltration. You change the face of the country. How would this country change if half the population were Muslims, especially Sharia law Muslims? You'd have going on in this country exactly what's going on in the Middle East now. There's a scary thought.
I said that years back. I said things that really made some people upset. One of those things was we had become the bullies of the planet. We went around beating everybody up. And the laws of the universe, one of them called karma, means you can't continue to do all that without expecting some type of repercussion. And I believe that's what we're suffering now.
Yeah, and it's like house cleaning. I don't know, somebody whose house got caught in a disaster, you come back and you clean out and rebuild. And so that's the process that this country and several other countries are going to wind up going through, is to clean out the satanic, and this is all prophetic. The satanic rebellion has to be brought down. The 8th king essentially does God's bidding in bringing down Babylon the Great. And so this is all the fingers and tentacles that have control over the planet and have been controlling. That the Pope in 2013, October 2nd, came out with a 41-page treatise. I read the document at least 2 to 4 times, depending on the area of the document. But I wanted to be clear about what was there. And that document became the backbone for the post-2015 development agenda. We don't have time to talk about that now. Look it up. But then there's the 2020 agenda and the 2030 agenda And we'll have to talk eventually about the 2045 transhumanist agenda. But I don't think we're going to get that far. But that's the path that they want to take us, unless it gets stopped. And it'll only get stopped to a certain point before it really goes extraterrestrial and interdimensional.
Terminator.
Because, yeah, Ruscella, we may actually see something like that happen.
RoboCop.
The Terminator, the ultimate Terminator, would be the King of Kings and Lord of Lords coming with the armies plural of heaven.
True.
And so, every knee's going to have to bow before or bend before that one.
Amen.
And that's just the way it is. And so, which side do you want to be on? Do you want to be terminated? I will never ever harm anybody because I believe the way that I do. I will defend myself. That's a different story. But I'll be damned if I'm going to go out and kill somebody because they have a different belief than I do. And yet that's what people have been trained to do.
Sadly.
So, yeah. They did it for 300 years after they created Islam. Yep. And then the Knights Templar, which became so wealthy, get rid of them too. They're banned. Who did it? The Pope. Revenge is coming. But you see, you have to have the discernment to figure out how all this is coming down. And it is confusing as hell sometimes. But we're running on God's time, which is different than what we expect, especially when we're doing the research into this. And I know we're going over a little bit. But when we can become so overwhelmed, hey, sometimes you got to take your head out of it. Come up for a breath and go enjoy nature for a little bit. Play with the critters. Commune with God. Become part of a thought of freedom, ultimate freedom, where you can enjoy life, where we can all enjoy life without having to leave this planet. Some people say, "Oh, don't you believe in the rapture?" You want to believe in the rapture, but Jesus said flesh and blood cannot leave this earth and inherit his kingdom. Oh, but we're going to a new earth. Maybe the new earth is coming here. Why do you think we have that 1,000 years of peace coming to this planet? You want to miss that? Have a good life. Tell Harold Campy I said hello. Oh, that was bad. Anyway, yeah, if you don't know who Harold Camping is, go look him up on go Google him. But regardless, Risco, I want to thank you for joining us tonight, and I do appreciate that. And for all of our listeners, hey, please join the channel. Share us with all your friends, all your family. We have definitely good information. Sometimes it's more biblical, like tonight. Sometimes it was more practical. And use that information and be prepared. With that, I'm going to say love and blessings to all. Have a fantastic week. Hit the like button and give us a big thumbs up. And leave whatever comments you would like to leave. And eventually we'll get around to it. You can't find us on Rumble? Go to YouTube. Hey, have a great night, everyone. Bye-bye.